こんにちは皆さん。Welcome to the channel where we learn real Japanese from real news. Today's topic is about something surprising in Japanese education. More and more parents in Japan say they don't care about their children's grades as long as school is fun. Is it about mental health, the pandemic, or changing values? Let's learn Japanese while exploring this cultural shift in parenting and education. The Japanese Ministry of Education asked around 100,000 parents about how they feel about their children's grades. The results: 59.7% of elementary school parents, 52.4% of junior high school parents said they don't care about grades as long as school is enjoyable. This is a big increase compared to 10 years ago. First of all, I have to tell you this. In Japan, education is so important. So parents care about kids' education and how they're gonna go to nice junior high school, university, then eventually getting a nice job. So there's some sort of path majority of Japanese parents want kids to follow. Since if you go to a nice school, most of the time you can get a nice job. Well, I have to define what the nice job is. Usually working in the large company, getting a high paycheck. So that's most Japanese parents want their kids to follow. But now, more and more parents are shifting from this education mindset to mental well-being. So I'm gonna talk about this in the next chapter. More and more kids start having depression, not going to school because of bullying or some sort of mental illness. So just the parents want their kids to have fun in school, play with friends. Of course, studying is important, but that's not the first priority anymore. So like I said before, parents gonna put their kids in cram schools after school, studying, and then try to have a juken, entrance exam. Usually it's a huge competition in a nice school. Even some elementary school kids do entrance exam. Or even kindergarten kids gonna face this exam. So education is so important. So even for getting married before, like not just about getting a job, like the parents judge on your future partner's educational background. Now things got changed. Parents don't check your partner's educational background. But still, education is still important. Japanese vocabulary, 成績, grades, 保護者, guardian, parent, 学校生活, school life, こだわらない, not care, not be particular about. Let's say that together. 成績にはこだわらない. I don't care about grades. Well, in this sentence, it says I don't care about grades. Well, this might be a bit different nuance. Parents care about grades, but not first priority. So first one, having fun in school, playing with friends, kids find something they like sports or something, hobbies, then study. Why are more parents saying grades don't matter? Experts suggest several reasons. More children refusing to go to school, 不登校. The effects of COVID-19 on family priorities. Economic struggles after the pandemic. Japan's falling birth rates, less competition for schools. So first of all, I talk about this, 不登校, not going to school. So there are so many factors why kids stop going to school because of bullying, mental illness, or simply you get bored in school. So there are so many reasons kids stop going to school. Where before, like parents like say, hey, you should go to school. Then maybe kids gonna kicked out to school if kids say, hey, I don't want to go to school. But now parents are getting more softer and softer. If kids say, oh, mom, I don't want to go to school, okay, you can stay home. So this is the first reason. And about the pandemic, pandemic is over, but because of the pandemic, some parents face financial struggles, so they cannot put your kids in cram schools or spending money for education. So education costs a lot of money in Japan. If you want to bring your kids to public school, usually it's cheap. But the private schools, that cost a lot of money. And also if you want to put your kids in cram schools for preparing for entrance exam, that also costs a lot of money. So education fee is pretty high in Japan. So if your financially struggles, parents not gonna force kids to study too much. Lastly, not much competition in school. So if there are more kids, then try to go to nice school. It's gonna be a huge competition. But less kids, less competition, so they can easily go to nice school. Japanese vocabulary: 不登校, school refusal, 少子化, declining birth rate, 影響, influence, 価値観, values. Quote from one official: more parents now think, if my child is happy and goes to school, that's enough. Well, this is kind of a nice mindset, right? Every parent is thinking about kids' happiness. Before, parents are more forcing kids to study. Then eventually they can go to nice school, university, nice job, high payments, having a nice family. So I understand why parents want kids to study hard, because education is so important in this society. I don't want to say this, but if you want to get nice paycheck, you should get a nice degree or PhD, then eventually you're gonna get a high paycheck job. At this moment, white collar job is more payable than blue collar jobs on average. So let's say when you go to start working in Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, those IT companies, usually you're gonna get high incomes. But if you wanna work in physical labor jobs, distribution center, factory, not good paycheck. So that's why parents know this reality, why education is important. Of course, studying is good for your brain, and eventually you can think by yourself, and that's gonna lead to higher paycheck. So parents know this reality. But now, parents want kids to enjoy at this moment. Of course, later life, if you don't study, if you didn't study, it might be so hard. So what I want to say is education is important. But first, kids' happiness. Then next, studying. The reason education is important, that's gonna widen your opportunities. So let's say you have a degree of doctor. So you can be a doctor, or even you can work in McDonald's. So this might be an extreme case. If you have some sort of degrees, skills, you can choose what you want to do. So I have a doctor's degree, then I can be a doctor, but I changed my mind. So I want to work in McDonald's, Starbucks. But if you don't have any degrees, you want to save people, you cannot be a doctor. So you have to work in some place without any skills. So widening your kids' opportunities, education is important. So let's say in Japan, going to university is so important, eventually getting a degree. Because in the later time, people who graduate from university or just junior high school, their lifetime income will be huge gap. Of course, not just about income, but like I said, for widening your opportunities, education is important. So let's say I can speak English. I had a working experience abroad because I can speak English and I had a skill. I was working in the hospital in Japan. So that's why I could even go abroad, work abroad, or I can even work in Japan. So I can choose anywhere I want to live, thanks to my degree, skills, and language. So that's why education is important, especially if you are widening your kids' future. The survey also showed a clear connection between parental attitudes and study time. When parents didn't care about grades, only 46.1% of sixth graders studied more than 1 hour outside school. But when parents did care, 71.2% of sixth graders studied more than 1 hour. So this is obvious result, right? Most of the time, parents who gonna force kids to study harder, parents were also forced to study when they were kids. So let's talk about me when I was little. My parents, especially my mom, is kind of educational parent, let's say. You have to study and put me in a cram school. I even cried before going to cram school because I didn't want to go. Yeah, I just wanted to play with my friends, even when I was in elementary school. So I really didn't like studying. But now I understand why my mom did it to me, and I know the importance of studying. But the forcing study is not good. Because once you're gonna start disliking studying, then you're gonna stop studying at all. So even you might like studying math, English, IT, but if parents are gonna force your kids to study, then you might gonna stop everything. So that's why forcing is not okay. So forcing is not good. But like this statistic, educational parents gonna force kids to study. That's why kids study more than 1 hour outside of school. So this is pretty obvious result. Japanese vocabulary, 勉強時間, study time, 平日, weekday, 影響する, to affect, 学力, academic ability. It seems that if parents care less, children study less. Let's see what real people in Japan said about this news. Many moms I talk to say they just want their kids to enjoy life. It's more important than grades. This shows that happiness is becoming a top priority. To be honest, this is a pretty good mindset. More and more parents care about their kids' happiness, not just about the parents' happiness. Yeah, this is kind of a bit complex problem. I totally understand. Parents care about kids' future. That's why they force kids to study hard. But at the same time, they have a lack of kids' happiness. Only kids can enjoy their lifetime when they are kids. Once you want to go to society, you are not a kid anymore. When kids go to school, play with friends, have some romance, and enjoy sports. Such a precious time. Yeah, such a precious time. Like once you go to society, even you don't want to go to work, you have to work for support your family, for paying for your rent, pension, and grocery fees, utility fees. Then you don't have any time for enjoying a life. You can watch Netflix or still play with your friends, but not like when you are a kid. It's a totally different happiness. I think effort is more important than results. Even if kids fail, trying hard builds life skills. In Japanese culture, 努力, effort, is often more respected than winning. That's totally true. Of course, now we live in this competitive world. We have to fight, getting a job, getting promoted, even getting a girlfriend, a boyfriend, competition. So we're gonna learn this process, making the effort in school. So even you cannot reach your goal, you're gonna make the effort on the process to achieve your goal. So I totally agree with this. Making the effort is important, and you're gonna learn this process in school. So that's why some people say if you graduate from a nice university, objectively people can judge on you, wow, you did a good job, you made this effort. So that's why even for having a job interview in large company, they're gonna judge you on your education. Like you went to a nice university, then they can judge you. Oh, you studied well for 4 years or 6 years. At least objectively speaking, they can understand you did a good job. So even you're gonna say, I studied well, I can do this, do that, without any evidence, degrees, people cannot judge on you. Especially during just 30 minutes job interview, because they don't know your life, right? So that's why people want to have some kind of degrees. So they can show it to people who don't know you. If I have a PhD degree, if I have a doctor degree, then people gonna judge on me. Oh, this guy has a doctor's degree, is working in hospital. Then they gonna trust me. So 努力 is important. Saying grades don't matter sounds irresponsible. We need to guide kids to unlock their full potential. This opinion reflects a more traditional result-focused mindset. For unlocking full potential of your kids, studying is important. So I'm gonna say you don't have to force your kids to study all genres like math, music, language, sports. You're gonna let them do what they like. If your kid likes sports, then your kid can focus on sports. If your kid likes doing IT stuff, let your kid do IT stuff. But unfortunately, in Japanese education, teachers try to improve your weakness. So even you don't want to study history, math, teachers say, hey, your weakness is history, you should study hard. Your weakness is math, you should study hard. Even though your English is so good, your music is so good. So this is something, maybe should be changed. We should more give kids compliment about their advantage. If the kid is good at the science, oh, you're so good, you're good at science, maybe you can study more about science. So we should more give kids some compliments rather than, hey, you should improve math, your grade is horrible. Try to be positive instead of being negative to kids. Once kids gonna hear negative words from teachers, parents, they gonna dislike studying. That's not okay. Japanese vocabulary, 努力, effort, 無責任, irresponsible, 可能性, potential, 導く, to guide. Which side do you agree with? Let's discuss this together. In your country, do parents care a lot about school grades? Do you think happiness is more important than academic success? What's one thing you wish schools would teach more? Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Well, I think schools should teach kids more about society, taxes, and financial study, business. Like there are so many important things kids should learn, like even how to use credit card. Like if you're gonna have credit card debts, you have to pay a lot of interest each month. And there are so many young people suffering from repaying that, or even not to get scammed. So there are so many important lessons from outside of school. Those stuff also should teach kids as well. We explored changing parenting values in Japan and how that affects education, effort, and happiness. If you enjoy this, like the videos, subscribe for more content, join the YouTube membership, and book a private lesson with me. If you join my Discord server, you can do it. 次の動画でまたお会いしましょう。じゃあね。